Communicate with clarity, rebuild with action, not just words. Changing the standard means modeling it relentlessly. You've got to ingrain that back in. And then lastly, stay consistent even when it's uncomfortable. And it's that last part that's important, even when it's uncomfortable. You got to remind them again. You got to remind them again. It's going to get uncomfortable. You got to remind them again. It's going to get uncomfortable. If you got to fire them, that's going to be uncomfortable. But silver lining, then you can set the new standard when the new person shows up. Welcome to DFW Grit. I'm Dr. James Taylor, and I'm your host, and this is more than just a podcast. We dive into the stories of the movers, the shakers, the small business owners, the entrepreneurs, right here in the DFW Metroplex. This is your home for authentic, real stories that prove what happens when you don't back down. Let's get to work. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Dr. Taylor with another episode of DFW Grit. As always, like, share, and follow. Today I got a nice little tweak on something that is true, but it's cliche. So I'm sure we've all heard the saying or the expression that you don't rise to the level of the occasion, you fall to the level of your training, right? I mean, if that doesn't sound exactly familiar, it sounds at the very least believable, right? You fall to the level of your training. I'd like to go in a slightly little bit different direction today. And it's something that does, as a business owner, as a father, as a husband, as a manager of people, that I'm trying. I'm trying. So it's not necessarily that you don't fall to the level of your training. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of what you tolerate. Let that sink in for a hot second. You fall to the level of what you are willing to tolerate. A perfect example of this: dress code in the office. I have a higher level chiropractic office than most. This certainly isn't a joint type endeavor. It's not a rack 'em crack 'em kind of place. It's nice, and that's by intent. I intend this place to be nice. Part of that is how we show up, whether there's patients here or not. On Wednesdays, we're closed in the morning anyway. That's when we do our admin stuff, right? That's when we call attorneys and insurance companies and all this kind of thing. But every Wednesday, I still show up here at 7 o'clock, just like I do every other day of the week. We don't see patients on a regular day till 8:30, but Wednesdays, we don't see patients till 3. I still show up at 7 o'clock. And I still show up in a shirt and tie. So I wear a shirt and tie to the office, even though I'm not going to see patients for like 4, 5, 6 hours, because that's the type of operation I'm running here. That's the type of standard I have. And there has been more than one occasion where I'll have a staff member show up on a Wednesday morning. We're not seeing patients, but they're not in uniform. They might not have the shoes on. They might be wearing a t-shirt as opposed to the approved top, if you will, that I have said needs to be worn. And the thing is, we're not seeing patients, right? We're not. But how you show up dictates how you play. And that's whether you're showing up to a game or showing up to practice. So like I said, today we're talking about this invisible leadership in a sense, because it is like what you tolerate that dictates your style of leadership, about the stuff you let slide that ends up costing you big. Because again, the uniform on a Wednesday morning isn't going to cost you big on Wednesday morning, but it's more what that represents. The dress code represents something. It represents how you show up. And this can go for things well beyond the dress code. So, like I said, it's the stuff that lets you slide is what ends up costing you big. And that could be here at the office. That could certainly be at home. That could be, that could be anywhere. Because like every day, with every choice, you're teaching people how to respect you. You're teaching people how to treat you. And what you tolerate becomes the standard. What is the lowest level that you will accept? Whether it be accept from others or even accept from yourself. Because again, when the rubber meets the road, that's what you're going to fall to. Rarely do we rise to the occasion. We fall to our training. We fall to what we have trained ourselves to tolerate. So Now, like, where has this showed up in my life? And in all reality, yours too. I imagine this is going to be quite commonplace. We talked about, if there's business owners out there, we talked about the dress code. Certainly places have different dress codes, some more stringent than others. I mean, go to a used car lot, or hell, even just go to a regular car lot. Go to a Ford dealership, go to a Chevy dealership. Great vehicles. See what the people are wearing, though. Then go to a luxury car dealership. See what the people are wearing. See how they treat you. Provided it's not the stereotypical, if you show up looking like a, hell, that'd be a good experiment too. Show up looking like a slob and also show up looking great. See how they treat you. But it could be a dress code thing. But I guarantee we have all had, if we've ever been in any sort of relationship for any substantial length of time, we've tolerated things. We've let things slide. But then what happens? You get into a fight 3 months down the road, and that little thing you let slide, now it's fuel. Now it's fire. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that. What's right? Okay, sorry. Tangent. I mentioned a while ago, a bunch of episodes back. I don't remember what the subject of the episode was, but I remember a huge fight my parents got into when I was a kid. And I don't remember exactly what the fight was about, but I know it wasn't about the fact that one of the walls in our living room was green. But that didn't stop it from being brought up. And again, I don't recall who wanted it to be green and who acquiesced for it to be green, or I don't know who was in the green camp. And I don't recall what the fight was about, but I do recall that being brought up. And as a kid, sitting at the top of the stairs thinking, why the hell are they talking about a green wall? The wall's been green for 2 years. So you can tell it was a fight when I was a kid because that Minnesotan accent just came out. But again, whoever wanted the green wall or whoever didn't want the green wall tolerated the green wall. And that's not to say, like, if your spouse picks a green wall and you don't like the green wall, you shouldn't be like, no, that wall can't be green. But you should at the very least voice your opinion, voice your concern, voice your distaste for the green wall. You should voice your distaste for the dress code not being followed. Because if you don't say anything, it just sits and it festers in there. And again, then all of a sudden these things come up later. And they come up, odds are, probably poorly. But that's to be understood if you've just been sitting on it forever, if you've been tolerating it. Because again, that trains people how to treat you. That trains people what they can get away with. And not in a good way or a bad way, just in a way that is. So you're always leading, whether you mean to be or not. And you're leading by what you tolerate. Ooh, this is also good too. Every tolerance is a teaching. It's a silent contract. Every time you let something slide, you're silently agreeing, hey, that's okay now. The thing is, that's okay now becomes, I guess that's okay now. It becomes, oh shoot, I've been letting that go on. That's our standard now, I guess, unless you do something to change it. It becomes the new baseline, not for others, or not just for others, but literally for yourself. And the thing is, like we've talked about this in past episodes too. It's been put another way. It's been put as something called creep. Because it's not like you immediately tolerate something so far outside of the norm, so far outside of what your standards are. You tolerate something just a little bit outside. And then a little bit outside of that. And then a little bit outside of that. But then by that point, now we're far away from wherever the standard is. But it's because you set up this silent contract. And it was silent because you didn't say anything. And I say that knowing full well that sometimes saying stuff sucks. Like, again, with the dress code thing, this has happened in the past with a previous employee. He showed up wearing pajamas on a Wednesday. It's like, well, if I tell her that she can't wear that, then she might be upset. This is my damn business. I should probably have the chutzpah to be like, hey, you can't wear that. But the party was like, but then you won't be the cool boss. But then that's not the standard. And I'll tell you what, It took me a while to tell her, hey, I don't want you wearing your pajamas to work. But then when I did, turns out it wasn't that big of a deal. She got it. Just explained to her, this is the standard we're holding here. But for a while, that was the baseline. It could be from low performance stuff. It could be disrespect. It could be distrust or inconsistency, whether it be here in work or at somebody else's work or in your relationships, in your sporting teams. There's always a baseline level of what's tolerable and what's not. I don't know if any of you guys saw the fight. It was a couple of bowl games ago. The Alabama quarterback and center got into a shoving match. It was their ball. They were up by like 20 or 30 points. It was the end of the game. It was at the end of the fourth quarter. There's no way they're losing this game. But the quarterback and the center got into a fight, got into a shoving match on the field. Quarterback had to call timeout. Why? Because the standard wasn't met. Even when the game is won, there is a standard that you have to play to. I mean, again, this could be your workouts. This could be your morning routine. Small little leaks will eventually sink big ships. And most of them start when it's, hey, just this once, just this one time. So when do you do something about it? Why high performers let things slide? Like I said, fear of confrontation. She didn't wear her pajamas, and then she might get mad at me. I wouldn't be the cool guy. I'd be the bad guy. I wouldn't be a cool boss. Could be overconfidence in recovery. You know what? It's just not a big deal now. I'll just fix it later. I'll just fix it later. We've all got the list of the plenty of things that we're going to do later. Could be belief that excellence in one area excuses laziness in another one. Don't do that. Rising tide raises all ships. Excellence in one area does not negate anything less than the best in another. Because either everything rises or everything falls. And that's very important to remember. Now, I'm crushing it here, so I can afford to let this go. I just made a bunch of money. I can afford to let my spending habits go just for the weekend. That's that cheat meal on Friday night that turns into a cheat weekend. Not speaking from experience on that one at all. So, how do we reset the standard? Number one, you got to acknowledge the gap. You got to acknowledge where something went awry, where something went amiss. You got to make that talk, that confrontation, perhaps. Where were you tolerating too much? Communicate with clarity. Don't assume people know your line. That one came from deep within also. People don't know what you know. People don't know what you expect, even if you've told them. Sometimes you got to tell them again, because again, it's just crept outside of the standard. So we need to remind them, communicate with clarity, rebuild with action, not just words. Changing the standard means modeling it relentlessly. You've got to ingrain that back in. And then lastly, stay consistent, even when it's uncomfortable. And it's that last part that's important, even when it's uncomfortable. You got to remind them again. You got to remind them again. It's going to get uncomfortable. You got to remind them again. It's going to get uncomfortable. If you got to fire them, that's going to be uncomfortable. But silver lining, then you can set the new standard when the new person shows up. Even if you flinch after raising the bar, just laugh. Because you're going to have to do it again anyway. So, wrap it up on this core idea here. Leadership isn't just about what you say, it's about what you tolerate. It's the culture. It's the culture. That's your identity. And everything will be built upon that. So what I want you to do, look at one area of your life this week where you think your standards might have slipped. It's not as good as it used to be. Audit that, analyze that. Find out how you fix that, and then reinforce the boundary and watch how quickly things will recalibrate. Stop explaining what your standards are and start doing them. Start exemplifying them. Because what you tolerate, you teach. And I'm going to say this again, just like I say it every single time. You will learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design. Right here on DFW Grit. As always, like, share, follow. You guys, I got a can of episodes coming up with some amazing guests. And I highly suggest that you keep tuned in because there's some great stories coming down the road here. If you want to be on the show, if you want to share your story, by all means, just reach out to us. We have raised the standard on our booking procedure here. This thing is becoming streamlined and efficient. And literally post episode 100, this is actually starting to really get fun. And I've already been having a good time to this point. But you guys have a great rest of your day. I will catch you on the next one.